Start again. Cleared my throat. Okay, g'day friends and fans. Welcome to Dave Talks Stuff Ukraine War Update for the 16th of January 2025. Much better start. Now, I have often said Zelensky is the obstacle to peace. Now, Trump has called out Zelensky and Putin in the past, and I agree. Putin is dragging his heels. He's not the innocent, okay? Even the pro-Russians must admit he is not exactly in a hurry. But Zelensky does not want an end to this war. Now, there are several reasons for that. One, first off, Zelensky claims this is not a peace deal but a surrender. Two, he calls the security guarantees a weak agreement. 3, he rejects the fact that decisions were made without input from the Ukraine. 4, he insists on NATO troops and he insists on a coalition of troops, ideally backed by NATO membership, to secure the border to prevent the Russians from attacking again. 5, lack of trust in Putin. 6, he does not want to give up any land. He wants the Putin to step back, to give everything back to Ukraine, and then sign all these sorry notes and give to Zelensky $800 billion. At least it's down from the 2 or 3 trillion he asked for last year. This man is an incredible mooch. You cannot trust him. The Ukrainians blame every failed peace deal on Russia. They never accept responsibility for their debts, for their actions, for the deaths of civilians. Ukraine cannot be trusted. And when Zelensky was running for office, he said so. He said the Ukrainian financial plan, the Ukrainian financial plan is to borrow money from its neighbors and never repay, and then blame the Russia. So do not think, and I'm sick and tired of people who have their pity party in Ukraine. He's such a victim. Yeah, you keep forgetting about all the women and children exploited for the last 20 years. All of a sudden, that's out the window because the Putin. Yeah. You know, if Putin was communist, they'd be cheering him on, right? If Putin was flying the red banner and saying, we are spreading the communism, they would call him a liberator. You know this to be true, so why are people on the right doing anything but opposing the expansion of the liberal establishment? Because that's what it is. Ukraine is a lifeline to the Ukrainian and European liberal establishment, which is crumbling. Ukraine has a huge energy problem. The power links they have with other countries may have actually been severed by attacks on Lviv. But most of those power links are going to industry, not to people's homes. Now, Russia has also attacked ports. Again, primarily Odessa. But again, air attacks on Kryvyi, Dnipro, and here in the north. Now, particularly in Kharkiv. It looks like Russia wasn't kidding yesterday when it said it opened up a new offensive. Morale will improve. Noticing will stop once morale improves. But Russia's made some breakthroughs. Not big breakthroughs, but a number of breakthroughs, and seized territory along the front, catching the Ukrainians by surprise. But here in Kupiansk, recent photos suggest there's no real reason. The Russians, there's pretty much, they're just clearing out Ukrainians. But there's suggestions that they'll either come up through the north, or they're going to Cauldron. They're going to go around it, cut it off. This is rumours that Russia's building up. That this offensive that Putin has announced, this is only wave 1. This could be the big push that everybody has been expecting. Though, again, we've seen trade loads of tanks go to Belarus and just sit there. They have not moved. So, this, of course, had Poland panicking that Russia was going to attack them. But then they started building fences. It's like, what? So, problem with intelligence analysts is they are biased towards their the doctrines, particularly of their paymasters. Now, we have seen, while the Ukrainians held here, the Russians have made some advances here. Now, they have moved a little bit south, not much, but they're slowly moving south and west. They are slowly, like 1, 2, 3, closing in on towns and targets. Not all towns are targets, they're just going around. They can't go around them, though. They can't afford to leave Ukrainian military in their rear. So they go piecemeal, every town. Piecemeal. And then when they get to a big target, it's wear out. Because there are a lot of troops here. And, yeah. But this line keeps fluctuating, but I think it is pretty much just how it's rendered. Russia has overrun again the Ukrainian base here. Whether or not they keep it, who knows? But they have advanced towards Konsk. And they've advanced here in the north. They've advanced here. Taken only a little bit of the town. Taken most of Novonishka here. They're fighting over the railway station here. They have cut it off from the south, though, for some time. But they have actually advanced a little bit. This is a lot of backwards and forwards, but yeah, parts of more of Rodi, are under Russian control. Now, parts of Miliod has fallen. Not the whole town. There's a little bit left. The Ukrainians haven't fallen for the bear trap today. For the first time in weeks, they have stopped coming into the station. Well, actually, rail yards, I think it is, but they're predominantly going into the rail yards, coming through the station, and doink! Game over, man. Game over. Little bit of movement here, but this military base, town hasn't fallen yet. Only a little bit closer. Looks like Russia's predominantly going after the river crossings again, the one here at Dupanilia, which Zelensky claimed. Well, actually, when he was talking about Dupanilia, I think he actually meant this one, but he kept mentioning Dupanilia in over here for some reason. But, yeah, the Russians have taken Dupanilia. And for once he denied it fell, but when he was talking about Dupanilia that hasn't fallen, he was talking about over... What's this? This one is... That's Lugansk, no... Donetsk. Is it in Donetsk? Yeah, I think it's Donetsk. So, here's some... Is it here? No, it's up here somewhere. There. Alright, so lots of artillery, lots of strikes, deep strikes from rocket artillery. Again, Russia's moved troops up to secure these river crossings. I think primarily to stop Ukrainians coming around their flanks while they finish off the Ukrainians in Hulapol. But they all still have Ukrainians along the banks here. Now, yesterday said they were clearing the banks, but that's obviously here, and it's not complete, or the maps haven't updated. It's hard to say, because we can't get any views from any of the so-called services that meant to give you views in real time of the Earth. In fact, sometimes you look up Kiev and you see nice, bright, sunny places, and it's like, where's the snow? Now, Russia's is trying to push their way up to Zaporozhye. I mean, that forms a huge cauldron here, but there's nothing really here they need to attack. Their real target is once Zaporozhye falls. The next big build-up will be in Dnipro and ProWritingAid. Now, ironically, these two are scenes, particularly ProWritingAid, were scenes of huge battles in World War II. So was Zaporozhye, of which the Russians did come towards ProWritingAid and then pivot around, struck Zaporozhye, and then came back up through here. Now, that prolonged the war, right? Instead of cutting off the Germans, right, isolating them, which is what the British and American Canadian forces did in northern Germany. But you could see primarily, at first the thinking is, you got enemy troops within, you don't want to leave anybody behind. They can cause a lot of damage before their eventual capture or death. But on the other hand, they're going to run out of ammunition, and they're going to run out of food long before ammunition. And often, isolated, you find that most of them go dormant, waiting for orders. There are many, you'd see this in many places in the front. The Ukrainians don't attack, right? They don't provoke the Russians. And then you see areas that are quiet for weeks, sometimes months, where there's only pot shots of artillery, but the men sitting in the trenches just enjoy their Borsk every day, look out across at the opposite side, and the opposite side just goes, and then they go back to playing cards or just watching each other or watching for drones. Predominantly both sides in their trenches are watching for drones. No sign of Russian production slowing down, and like I said yesterday, Russia's making money, the rest of and they're not. And imagine how well they would be doing though without the war, of course. And that's Trump's leverage, is trying to get them to give up the war, not by destroying their economy, but Ukraine wants to destroy their economy, and that keeps Russia wanting to destroy them. And that is the problem. Zelensky and his hard head. Now, if Trump had Zelensky on side, ready to sign a deal, and Putin wasn't, it'd be obvious. It'd be obvious, right? That it was all one-sided. But because there are so many people who just want to blame Russia for everything, they cannot see. Now, here on it says Biplonelia. That's in Sumi. All right. So, right, yeah. Guide bomb. Kharkiv was hit again. Yeah. Both sides are attacking electricity, and Russian oil. But Ukraine is attacking Russian oil and gas. But tankers. Greece has called out attacks in the Black Sea, and Russia points out that they're coming out of Ukraine. Right now, according to Finance Ministry, right here it is. They're claiming, right, Russian revenue from gas and oil dropped by 24%. That's the lowest level since 2020. This is misleading because overall, the Russian economy still grew, and they made a huge profit on other areas. Now, predominantly, the war is not the reason for the Russian gas and oil drop, right? It is the increased competition from Venezuela it is the fact that China has been buying less Russian oil and more Venezuelan oil. The Chinese have shifted their market, and of course the toll, India as well has though still buying Russian gas and oil. India has dropped its purchases, right? But how Venezuela going forward, again, with an increase of production in Venezuela, Russian sanctions, eventually Trump's plan will squeeze the Russians into a deal. But Ukraine doesn't want any deal, nor does the UK, who is the ones pulling the strings in Kiev. And Russia's saying, well, we hear that the French and Italians want the UK to restore diplomacy, but London keeps wanting evidence. Evidence! Oh my God, liberals and their fucking evidence. You could show them Biden in his house with all his top secret files, and they still don't see anything wrong. So, fuck liberals and their evidence. They do not want evidence. It's just an excuse that they can't see evidence. Right? You know what they mean by evidence, don't you? Submission. Oh yes, Putin withdraws all troops. See, we want peace. Yeah, submission. However, Germany's Merz has changed his hand and believes that the only way we're going to end this war is dialogue with Russia's senior leaders, plural. And, of course, the senior leadership means Europe was sidelined effectively after the 2022 because they balked at a peace deal and then walked away, leaving them with no leverage. Now they're looking to, with great confidence, to 2026 to restore dialogue and speak with Vladimir Putin. Now, this is, of course, this is all led now. This is not just Giorgia Meloni or Viktor Orban. This is also Estonia. Some politicians in Poland and Romania and other countries are all getting together and saying enough's enough. All right, they can't move the UK, they can't move France, so they're going to pull out because it's a trilateral push, right? And if England and France can't get bully Germany, then Germany's not going to spend more of its money on the political ambitions of France and England. And that will bring, right, money back. And again, as I said, right, Germany's increased its military spending, but not buying EU equipment. They're spending money domestically on domestic production. And as I said, they're not targeting Russia. They want peace. They want to bring an end to the Ukraine war. Obviously, he knows, right, that Russia-Ukraine is nothing but a phony war, like the Greek and other wars in the Balkans leading up to World War I. But Viktor Orban is leading the charge to shut down the Ukraine war. They're going after the money, lodging a petition to stop spending. And I think this is an extra 90 billion euros on top of all the others, right? When they said the last loan was enough for 2 years, now they need more to get through. And of course, then they need more military assistance and general budget support. And Hungary once again is pushing back against the Brusselian pressures, led by Brussels, of course. The EU SSR, where they promised prosperity to Eastern Europe, and instead are just looting them to prop up their own budgets and their own political ambitions. Europe is in a recession, and it's harmed its own people by giving $800 billion to Ukraine. Money that won't be seen, even if Ukraine has all these resources. It's going to take 10 years before the first mine is churning out anything of consequence, and then it's going to take 20 more years, right? Trump said this is a long-term rebuilding plan, but the sooner you start, the better, because it stops the bleed. But in an exclusive interview, Trump told, I'm not sure which one of these two it was, but Trump told Reuters that Ukraine, not Russia, is holding up the peace deal. Though this is in stark contrast to the bleating of Europe. But then again, we look at the bleating of Europe, the bleating that is coming out of Europe. It's predominantly the UK. But however, the French, they just want to put more pressure on Putin to stop the war. I can see why some want troops in Ukraine. All right, because after the war, they have to round up all those guns. That's a fact. Okay, you can't have I'm not saying it's not a Second Amendment issue, because Ukraine, right? You flooded Ukraine with military-grade weapons, not, right? You want those put back into armories, okay? You don't want Ukrainians settling every dispute with an AK-47 or having bandits running around the countryside with 20mm autocannons on the back of a pickup truck, because there's so much looted and missing equipment on the battlefield, and plus all these stockpiles of weapons all over the countryside, which obviously are going to be pilfered from and have found their way into the hands of organised crime. Even recently, Sweden said they need to cut back the flood of weapons coming out of Ukraine. Obviously, there's corruption, right? Obviously, there's huge open sections of the border. They want to deal with that. But before they can deal with that, it has to be done, I believe, from a military policing standpoint, not from a military standpoint of sending troops to watch Russia. You want observers, you want military police, you want demobilization specialists, and trauma care, and rebuilding experts. All this talk about sending troops to Ukraine is a waste of time and money. The real issue is not peace and security guarantees. It's Ukraine's belligerence. And even now the French, right? Macron realizes that Ukraine is a losing proposition from a political standpoint. Viktor Orban has warned him for a long time, right, that it's going to cost the careers of many politicians who stand on the wrong kind of history. Because it's not just them. It's their successes. It's their families' reputations. We've seen that with Sarkozy and many. Hollande, Mitterrand, all these, although some of them don't care and do survive in the corrupt world of success at any price. And that happens. I get it. Hold on. But I believe, it's not just Zelensky. Of course, there's no one politician we can point to and say they're responsible. Okay, I'm having some issues here. My computers are running a bit slow right now, and I think it's a good point to end on anyway. Thank you all for watching. Please like, share and subscribe, but please support the channel. You can support me on Ko-Fi, Patreon, buy my books, buy my merch. All my links are in the link tree, description below, in my profile, or scan the QR code on the screen. Please and thank you. See you in the next video, and bye for now.